The deep space vessel Stargazer drifted silently through the darkness near Proxima Centauri, its sensors scanning the surrounding space for any signs of anomalies. Commander Lisa Blackwood sat in her command chair, her blue eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The ship had been mapping this sector for the past 3 weeks, and so far they had found nothing particularly interesting. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," said Officer Ryan Peters from his station. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "It appears to be some kind of signal, but it's not matching any known human patterns." Lisa leaned forward, her interest piqued. "Can you clean it up?" "Working on it now," Ryan replied, adjusting various parameters. After a few moments, a clear pattern emerged from the background noise. "It's definitely artificial, ma'am, and it's repeating in regular intervals. A distress signal." Lisa wondered aloud. She turned to her communications officer. "Amy, can you make anything of it?" Lieutenant Amy Foster shook her head, her red hair swaying with the movement. "The pattern is unlike anything in our database, Commander, but the frequency and modulation suggest it's designed to carry across vast distances of space." Lisa stood up and walked closer to the main view screen. "Whatever it is, it's not human. And that means we might be looking at humanity's first contact with alien life." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Plot a course to the source. The Stargazer's engines hummed to life as it changed direction. As they got closer to the signal's origin, the ship's sensors began picking up more details. "Commander, I'm detecting a large vessel about 2 light minutes away," reported the sensor officer, Paul Baker. "Its design is, well, it's definitely not one of ours." "Show me," Lisa ordered. The main screen lit up with an image that made everyone on the bridge gasp. The alien ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Stargazer. Its hull seemed to shimmer with an iridescent quality, like mother of pearl, and its design was organic, almost flowing, unlike the practical geometric shapes of human vessels. But what caught Lisa's attention wasn't the ship's beauty, it was the damage. Large sections of the hull were blackened and scarred, and debris floated around it in a slowly expanding cloud. "Life signs?" Lisa asked. "Multiple readings, but they're faint," Paul responded. "And there's something else. Smaller ships, dozens of them. They're attacking the large vessel." The attacking ships were dark, almost impossible to see against the backdrop of space. They moved with an unnatural precision, like a swarm of insects rather than piloted vessels. Lisa didn't hesitate. "Battle stations. Whatever's happening here, those people need help." The crew responded immediately, and the Stargazer's weapon systems came online. As they approached, they got their first clear view of the battle. The dark ships were systematically targeting specific sections of the larger vessel, their weapons leaving strange, pulsing marks that seemed to spread like infection across the hull. "Open a channel to the unknown vessel," Lisa ordered. Amy worked at her station. "Channel open, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Commander Lisa Blackwood of the Earth vessel Stargazer. We've received your distress signal and are here to assist. Please respond." For a moment, there was only static. Then the voice came through, strange and musical, speaking perfect English. "Earth vessel, this is Counselor Zareen of the Galactic Council. Please, help us. Our shields are failing, and our weapons had no effect on them." Lisa's training kicked in. "Understood, Counselor. Hold on." She turned to her tactical officer. "Target those attack ships. Let's show them what human weapons can do." The Stargazer's railgun spun up, launching hypersonic projectiles at the nearest attackers. The effect was immediate and devastating. The dark ships, seemingly unprepared for physical projectiles, were torn apart. "Direct hits," the tactical officer reported. "They're breaking formation." The swarm scattered, clearly surprised by the effectiveness of the human weapons. The Stargazer pressed its advantage, its point defense lasers picking off the smaller ships while its main guns kept the larger groups at bay. Within minutes, the remaining attackers jumped away, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. "Counselor Zareen," Lisa called out, "the immediate threat has been neutralized. Do you require medical assistance?" "Yes, yes, we do," came the reply, stronger now. "Commander Blackwood, you and your people have our deepest gratitude. We would be honored if you would dock with our vessel." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. The Stargazer's medical team, led by Dr. Ben Martinez, worked alongside the Council ship's own healers to treat the injured. The Council members themselves were a diverse group, some humanoid, others decidedly not, but all of them regarded the humans with a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. During a brief break in the medical efforts, Counselor Zareen, a tall, elegant being with silvery skin and flowing robes, approached Lisa. "Commander, there's something we must discuss. Your arrival here, it wasn't just fortunate, it was impossible." Lisa frowned. "I don't understand." "This sector is over 30 light-years from your home system," Zareen explained. "Our records show your species has not yet achieved faster-than-light travel." Lisa smiled. "Your records are outdated, Counselor. We developed the Anderson-Martinez drive 5 years ago. We've been exploring this sector for months." The silence that followed was profound. Zareen's large, multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "You developed FTL travel independently, without any outside assistance?" "Of course," Lisa replied, not understanding the counselor's surprise. "Is that unusual?" "Commander," Zareen said slowly, "in the entire history of the Galactic Council, spanning over 10,000 years and monitoring millions of species, no race has ever achieved FTL travel without guidance from an advanced civilization. The mathematical and physical principles involved are, well, we believe them to be beyond any single species' ability to discover alone." Now it was Lisa's turn to be surprised. She thought of Dr. Carol Anderson and Dr. Maria Martinez, the two brilliant physicists who had cracked the FTL problem back on Earth. They'd always said the solution was elegant in its simplicity, once you looked at it the right way. "Well," Lisa said with a slight smile, "I guess humans are full of surprises." Zareen's expression changed to something Lisa couldn't quite read. "Yes, Commander. I believe you are. And I suspect this meeting may change the course of galactic history in ways none of us can predict." As Lisa looked around the alien ship, at humans and aliens working together to heal the wounded and repair the damage, she couldn't help but agree. This was just the beginning of something much bigger than any of them had imagined. Back on the bridge of the Stargazer, Lisa sent a message to Earth Command. First contact established with advanced alien civilization. They call themselves the Galactic Council. Situation stable. Requesting diplomatic team. And Command, you might want to tell Dr. Anderson and Dr. Martinez that they've just made humanity famous across the galaxy. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as the Stargazer's crew settled in for what would surely be a long and fascinating exchange with their new allies. Humanity had taken its first step onto a much larger stage, and they had done it by doing what humans do best: helping others and surprising everyone in the process. 3 days after the rescue of the Council vessel, Commander Lisa Blackwood found herself sitting in a conference room aboard the Council ship. The iridescent walls seemed to pulse with gentle light, making the atmosphere both alien and oddly comfortable. Around the oval table sat 5 Council members, each representing different species from across the galaxy. "What you faced," Head Counselor Peter Martinez began, his crystalline form catching the light, "was not a random attack. Those ships belong to the Void Collective." He paused, his crystal structure darkening slightly. "They are perhaps the greatest threat our civilization has ever faced." Lisa leaned forward, her hands clasped on the table. "Tell me about them." Counselor Zareen took over the explanation, her silvery skin rippling with what seemed like concern. "The Void Collective is a hive mind species. They don't just attack bodies, they consume consciousness itself." "I don't understand," Lisa said. "How can something consume consciousness?" A holographic display appeared in the center of the table, showing one of the dark ships they had fought. "The Void Collective uses advanced psychic weapons," explained Counselor Kree, a being that looked like a sophisticated mix of plant and crystal. "They don't just kill their victims, they absorb their minds, their memories, their very essence into their collective consciousness." For centuries, Zareen continued, they've been slowly advancing through Council space. Our psychic defenses can only hold them back for so long. But you? She turned her multifaceted eyes toward Lisa. Your ships fought them without any psychic shielding at all. We don't have psychic technology, Lisa admitted. We've never needed it. The council members exchanged meaningful looks. That's exactly what makes you unique, Peter Martinez said. During the battle, the Void Collective tried to attack your crew's minds. They failed completely. At first, we thought you must have some advanced shielding we couldn't detect. But now we realize humans are naturally resistant to psychic attacks. Dr. Ben Martinez, who had been quietly observing until now, spoke up. Could it have something to do with our planet's background radiation? Earth has some unique properties that affected our evolution. Precisely. Counselor Kree's crystalline structure brightened with excitement. We've analyzed the data from your world. The specific combination of magnetic fields, radiation patterns, and mineral composition in your planet's crust created conditions we've never seen before. Your brains evolved differently from any other species we've encountered. Lisa processed this information carefully. So when the Void Collective tried to attack our minds, they found themselves trying to grasp smoke, Zareen finished. Your neural patterns are completely alien to them. They can't establish the connection they need to consume your consciousness. But it's more than that, Peter Martinez added. Your weapons, simple physical projectiles and energy beams, they weren't expecting those either. Most advanced races rely heavily on psychic technology for warfare. The Void Collective has grown used to fighting enemies who try to match them on a psychic level. Which never works, Kree interjected. They always end up absorbing any psychic energy used against them. Lisa stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. So you're saying that humanity's supposed primitive technology might actually be an advantage? Exactly, Peter Martinez confirmed. Your railguns, your lasers, your nuclear-powered ships, they're completely outside the Void Collective's experience. They don't know how to defend against them effectively. Dr. Ben Martinez had been running calculations on his tablet. He looked up, his eyes wide. Commander, if we could somehow combine our technology with the Council's psychic defenses, we might have a real chance against them, Lisa finished. Zareen's skin rippled with hope. There's more. We've detected some unusual patterns in how your presence affects nearby psychic fields. It's as if your minds naturally generate some kind of disruption. Like static on a radio, Lisa suggested. Similar, Kree agreed. Your thought patterns create interference in the psychic spectrum. If we could amplify that effect, we might be able to actively disrupt the Void Collective's hive mind, Peter Martinez concluded. The implications were enormous. Lisa turned back to the group. How long do we have? How quickly is the Void Collective advancing? The holographic display changed to show a map of the galaxy. Large sections were highlighted in different colors, with a dark, spreading stain showing the Void Collective's territory. They've increased their pace, Zareen said grimly. We estimate they'll reach the core Council worlds within 2 standard years. Earth is actually in a relatively safe position, far from their current expansion, but if they take the Council worlds, then nothing will stop them from eventually reaching Earth, Lisa finished. She straightened her uniform. What do you need from us? We need to establish formal diplomatic relations immediately, Peter Martinez said. We need to study your neural patterns, understand how your technology works, and develop new strategies together. And we need to prepare for war, Kree added solemnly. The Void Collective won't stop. They can't stop. Absorption and expansion are fundamental to their nature. Lisa nodded. I'll contact Earth Command immediately. But I can tell you now, humanity will help. We've never been good at standing by while others are in danger. There's one more thing you should know, Zareen said softly. The Void Collective. They fear you now. The battle here showed them something they've never encountered. A species they can't consume, using weapons they can't defend against. You've made them uncertain for the first time in centuries. Good, Lisa replied firmly. They should be afraid. Because if there's one thing humans are really good at, it's taking what makes us different and turning it into strength. As the meeting concluded, Lisa could feel the weight of history settling on her shoulders. Humanity had stumbled onto the galactic stage only to find itself potentially holding the key to saving it. The war that was coming would test them all, but looking at the determined faces around her, human and alien alike, she felt a surge of hope. The stars outside seemed to twinkle with possibility as plans began to form. Humanity's resistance to psychic attacks, once just a quirk of evolution, was about to become one of the most important factors in galactic history. The Void Collective had no idea what they were about to face. A species that had grown strong precisely because they had developed without psychic powers, forced to rely on ingenuity, technology, and raw determination instead. The war beyond mind was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy exactly what they could do. Dr. Susan Hayes stood in the massive laboratory aboard the Council's primary research station, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing human brain patterns. Around her, alien scientists moved with purpose, their own instruments adding layers of data to the display. Look at this pattern here, she said, pointing to a specific neural cluster. Every human brain we've scanned shows the same unique oscillation. It's like our thoughts are operating on a completely different frequency than the rest of the galaxy. The Council's chief scientist, a being named Vex, who looked like flowing mercury, moved closer to examine the display. Fascinating. The pattern seems to create a natural interference field. No wonder the Void Collective couldn't establish a connection. In another section of the station, Captain John Wells oversaw the integration of human weapons systems with Council ships. The sleek alien vessels were being fitted with railguns and missile launchers, while human ships received Council shield technology. The power distribution needs to be adjusted, John explained to a group of Council engineers. Our weapons draw massive amounts of energy in short bursts. Your systems aren't designed for that kind of power spike. The engineers, a mix of various species, worked quickly to modify their designs. One of them, a tall insectoid named Clicks, seemed particularly excited. The combination of our shield harmonics with your kinetic weapons creates an unexpected synergy. The shields actually boost the projectile velocity by 23%. Back on Earth, Admiral Mary Cooper stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her uniform crisp as she delivered her report. The chamber was packed with military leaders and government officials from every major nation. The Void Collective represents a threat unlike anything humanity has ever faced, she stated firmly. But we also have advantages they've never encountered. Our fleet is being upgraded with Council technology, and we're establishing joint defense protocols. A Council member raised his hand. What about our civilian population? Are they at risk of psychic attack? No, Mary replied with confidence. Our natural resistance protects us. In fact, Dr. Hayes's research suggests that large concentrations of humans actually disrupt the Void Collective's ability to communicate with their forces. We're turning our biggest cities into natural psychic jamming stations. In orbit above Earth, the first joint human Council fleet assembled. The sight was extraordinary. Sleek Council ships with their iridescent hulls, now bristling with human weapons, alongside human vessels glowing with the strange energy of Council shields. On the bridge of the fleet's flagship, the Starkiller, Captain John Wells surveyed his crew. Humans worked alongside Council species at every station, learning from each other, combining their strengths. Status report, he called out. Human weapon systems fully integrated and operating at 120% efficiency, reported Lieutenant Eric Stone. The Council's power cores provide more energy than we initially calculated. Psychic defense grid online, added Council Officer Trine, her crystalline form pulsing with light. Human neural patterns are being amplified through the fleet's network. We're creating a disruption field 50 times stronger than natural. In the research lab, Dr. Susan Hayes made a breakthrough that changed everything. She rushed into the command center, her tablet displaying a complex series of calculations. "We've cracked it," she announced to the assembled leaders. "We can use our natural interference pattern as a weapon. By amplifying and focusing human neural signatures, we can create a beam that disrupts the Void Collective's hive-mind connection. It won't destroy them, but it will force them to operate as individuals rather than a collective." The news spread quickly through the fleet. Hope, which had been cautious before, now burned brighter. They had a real weapon against the enemy's greatest strength. Training exercises began immediately. Human and Council crews learned to work as one, their different approaches to combat combining in unexpected and effective ways. The Council's precision and advanced technology merged with human creativity and adaptability. "They're so different from what we expected," Counselor Zareen commented to Admiral Cooper during a strategy session. "Your people don't just think outside the box. You question why there needs to be a box at all." Mary smiled. "That's humanity for you. We've spent our entire history adapting, improvising, and overcoming. Now we get to do it on a galactic scale." The preparation wasn't just military. On Earth, universities and research centers worked around the clock, studying Council technology and developing new applications. The human tendency to find unexpected uses for things led to dozens of breakthroughs. Dr. Ben Martinez, working with a team of human and Council scientists, developed a new type of sensor that could detect Void Collective ships before they could cloak themselves. "They emit a specific type of psychic energy," he explained. "Now that we know what to look for, they can't hide from us." As the days passed, the joint fleet grew stronger. Training exercises became more complex, and the coordination between human and Council forces improved dramatically. They developed new tactics that took advantage of both species' strengths. "The Void Collective won't expect any of this," John Wells told his crew during a briefing. "They've never faced an enemy that could block their psychic attacks and hit them with physical weapons at the same time. We're not just fighting their forces, we're fighting their entire understanding of how war works." In orbit around Earth, the final pieces of the defense network fell into place. Massive amplifiers, designed to boost humanity's natural psychic interference, were positioned at strategic points. Earth itself became a fortress, not through traditional defenses, but through the very nature of its inhabitants. The alliance between humanity and the Council grew stronger each day. Cultural exchanges began, with humans and Council species learning from each other, sharing knowledge, art, and ideas. What had started as a military necessity was becoming something more, a true meeting of minds from across the galaxy. As the preparations neared completion, Admiral Cooper stood on the observation deck of the orbital command station, watching the combined fleet perform maneuvers. The sight of human and Council ships moving in perfect coordination filled her with pride. "We're ready," she said softly to herself. "Whatever the Void Collective brings, we'll face it together." The war was coming, but now they had hope. Humanity's unique abilities, combined with Council technology and knowledge, had created something entirely new. The stage was set for a battle that would determine the fate of countless civilizations. And at the heart of it all was the simple fact that humans, through a quirk of evolution on their radiation-soaked world, had developed minds that could stand against the greatest psychic power in the galaxy. Sometimes, the best defense wasn't a stronger shield, but being something the enemy never expected to encounter. The war beyond mind was about to enter its next phase, and the Alliance was ready. The attack came without warning. Thousands of Void Collective ships emerged from hyperspace, their dark hulls seeming to absorb the starlight around them. The joint Human Council fleet stationed at the border of Council space detected them only seconds before they arrived. Lieutenant Kate Freeman was the first to spot the unusual readings on her sensor station aboard the flagship Starkiller. Multiple hyperspace signatures, They're everywhere. Captain John Wells snapped into action. Battle stations. All ships form up on defensive pattern Delta. Activate the psychic disruption field. The combined fleet moved with practiced precision. Human ships, their council-enhanced shields glowing, took forward positions. Council vessels, now armed with human weaponry, formed the second line of defense. They're trying to establish psychic contact, reported Council Officer Treen, her crystalline form flickering with energy. The disruption field is holding. They can't penetrate it. The Void Collective's initial attack faltered as they encountered the unexpected defense. Their ships, used to easily overwhelming enemy mines, found themselves facing an opponent they couldn't touch mentally. All ships, open fire, John ordered. Show them what physical weapons can do. The human railguns spoke first, launching hypervelocity rounds that crossed the space between the fleets in seconds. The Void Collective ships, their defenses oriented toward psychic attacks, proved vulnerable to the primitive but devastating kinetic weapons. Direct hits on multiple targets, Lieutenant Eric Stone called out. Their shields aren't designed for this kind of impact. But the Void Collective was far from defeated. Their ships began to adapt, shifting their formation into something new. Instead of trying to establish psychic dominance, they started using more conventional weapons, energy beams and plasma torpedoes that the Council had never seen them employ before. They're learning, John muttered. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Don't let them get a firing solution. The battle expanded across a vast section of space. Human and Council ships fought side by side, their different technologies and tactics combining in ways the Void Collective struggled to counter. But the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. On the research vessel Mindscape, orbiting a nearby moon, Kate Freeman had been transferred to work with Dr. Susan Hayes. They monitored the battle while continuing their research into the Void Collective's hive mind. Look at this, Kate said suddenly, pointing to a pattern in the data. When our disruption field hits them, there's a cascade effect in their network. It's like pulling a thread that unravels a sweater. Susan's eyes widened as she understood the implications. If we could amplify that effect and target it properly, we could break their hive mind completely, Kate finished. They worked frantically, refining their discovery as the battle raged on. Outside, more Void Collective ships arrived, pushing the Allied fleet back. The casualties began to mount. Starkiller, this is Mindscape, Kate called over the comm. We found something. We can disrupt their entire network, but we need to get closer, much closer than we are now. John looked at the tactical display, where enemy ships filled the screen. How close? Within 1,000 kilometers of their command ship, Susan replied. We've identified it. It's the largest one, at the center of their formation. That's suicide, John said. No ship could get that close through their lines. Then we'll make a hole, came Admiral Mary Cooper's voice. She had arrived with the Earth reinforcement fleet, fresh from their defensive positions. All ships, form up on the Starkiller. We're going to punch through their line. The human and Council ships gathered their remaining strength. The plan was simple but dangerous. Concentrate their forces into a spear point and drive straight for the Void Collective's command ship. Mindscape, can you get your device ready? John asked. Ready and calibrated, Kate responded. But we'll only get one shot at this. The Allied fleet began its charge. Railguns fired continuously, creating a wall of hypervelocity projectiles that cleared a path. Council energy weapons followed, their effectiveness enhanced by the human targeting systems. The Void Collective responded with overwhelming force. Ships exploded on both sides as the battle reached its peak intensity. The Mindscape, protected in the center of the formation, worked to get within range. 800 kilometers to target, Kate called out. The disruption effect is already starting to build. The Void Collective ships began to show signs of confusion. Their perfectly coordinated movements became erratic as the enhanced disruption field affected their hive mind connection. 500 kilometers. The Mindscape's engines strained as they pushed closer. "We're losing ships too fast," John reported. "We can't hold this formation much longer." 300 kilometers. Kate's voice was tense. "The cascade effect is beginning." The Void Collective command ship, recognizing the threat, turned its full attention to the approaching fleet. Energy beams lashed out, destroying several Allied vessels instantly. "Now," Susan shouted, activating the disruption pulse. The device they had created fired, sending out a wave of focused human neural patterns, amplified 1,000-fold. It struck the Void Collective command ship like a hammer, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the effect began to spread. Ship after ship lost its connection to the hive mind. The perfectly coordinated fleet became a collection of individual vessels, each suddenly forced to think and act for itself. "It's working," Kate exclaimed. "The cascade is spreading through their entire network." The Void Collective fleet fell into chaos. Some ships tried to flee, others continued fighting but with greatly reduced effectiveness. Without their hive mind to coordinate them, they were just individual ships facing a unified enemy. All ships pressed the advantage. Admiral Cooper ordered, "Don't let them regroup." The battle turned decisively. The Allied fleet, despite their losses, systematically destroyed or captured the now disorganized Void Collective ships. The few that managed to escape into hyperspace were tracked by the new sensors Dr. Martinez had developed. Hours later, as the fleet conducted rescue operations and assessed their losses, Kate and Susan presented their findings to the command staff. "The disruption effect is permanent," Susan explained. "Even if they try to reconnect their hive mind, our pulse changed the fundamental way their neural patterns work. They can't reform their collective consciousness." "We've won this battle," Admiral Cooper said. "But the war isn't over. There are more Void Collective fleets out there. But now we know how to beat them." John added, "We can duplicate this device and install it on other ships." The victory had come at a heavy cost. Many good people, both human and council, had died in the battle. But they had proven that the Void Collective could be defeated, and more importantly, they had shown what humans and the council species could achieve together. As the fleet began its journey home for repairs and reinforcement, Kate looked out at the battlefield from the Mindscape's observation deck. The debris of both Allied and enemy ships drifted silently in space, a testament to the fierce battle that had just taken place. "We did it," she said softly. "We found their weakness." The war wasn't over, but the breaking point had been reached. The Void Collective's greatest strength had been turned against them, and the galaxy had hope for the first time in centuries. Human ingenuity, combined with council wisdom, had changed the course of the war. The stars seemed to shine brighter as the fleet headed home, carrying with them the key to victory and the promise of a future free from the Void Collective's threat. The final battle loomed ahead as the combined human council fleet approached the Void Collective's home system. 6 months had passed since Kate Freeman's discovery, and Dr. William Taylor had transformed her disruption device into something even more powerful. "The permanent shield generator is ready," William announced to the assembled fleet commanders. "Once activated, it will create a continuous field that prevents any form of psychic connection within its range." Commander Daniel Phillips stood at the helm of the flagship Victory, watching as the massive fleet moved into position. After months of fighting, pushing the Void Collective back system by system, they had finally reached the enemy's core worlds. "All ships report ready," Lieutenant Amy Dale said from her station. "The Council fleet is in position, and Earth's forces are standing by." Daniel nodded, his expression serious. "Begin the approach. Activate the shield generators." Across the fleet, hundreds of the devices William had created hummed to life. A wave of invisible energy spread out, creating a massive bubble that would prevent the Void Collective from reforming their hive mind. The enemy was waiting for them. Despite losing their collective consciousness, the Void Collective had learned to fight as individuals. Their dark ships filled the space around their homeworld, a sight that would have been terrifying just months ago. They've adapted to fighting without their hive mind. Council Admiral Venn observed, his crystalline form glowing with determination. But so have we. The battle began with a massive exchange of fire. Human railguns and Council energy weapons lit up space, while the Void Collective responded with their own devastating attacks. Ships on both sides exploded as the two massive fleets clashed. "Keep the formation tight," Daniel ordered. "Don't let them split our forces." William monitored the shield generators from his station aboard the Victory. "The field is holding steady. They can't establish any psychic connections." The battle spread across the entire star system. Smaller engagements broke out around moons and planets as both sides fought for tactical advantages. The combined fleet's superior coordination began to tell, as months of training together paid off. "They're falling back toward their homeworld," Amy reported. "But something's different about their movement pattern." Daniel studied the tactical display and saw it too. "They're not retreating. They're trying to draw us in. All ships, hold position." His warning came just in time. The space around the Void Collective's homeworld suddenly lit up with energy as massive defense platforms revealed themselves. "Those platforms," William called out, studying his readings. "They're trying to generate a system-wide psychic pulse. If they succeed, it could overwhelm even our shields." But the Void Collective had made a crucial mistake. In concentrating their forces around their homeworld, they had left other key positions vulnerable. Council Admiral Venn saw the opportunity first. "Commander Phillips," he said, his crystalline form pulsing with excitement, "their defense platforms require enormous power. If we can destroy their main power relay station." Daniel understood immediately. "Lieutenant Dale, get me fleets 3 and 4. We're going to split their defenses." The battle entered a new phase. While the main fleet kept the Void Collective's attention, smaller task forces slipped through their lines, targeting key infrastructure. Human ships, with their superior maneuverability, led these strikes. "Power relay station spotted," reported Captain Sarah Mills from one of the strike teams, moving in for the attack run. The Void Collective realized the threat too late. By the time they could respond, human and Council ships had already breached their defensive line. The power relay station erupted in a massive explosion, taking their defense platforms offline. "Now," Daniel ordered, "all ships, full attack. Don't let them recover." The combined fleet surged forward, their weapons blazing. Without their defensive platforms and still unable to reform their hive mind, the Void Collective forces began to crumble. William's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their homeworld. They're powering down their weapons." A transmission came through on all frequencies. The voice speaking was unlike anything they had heard before. It was a single voice, not the usual chorus of the collective. "We surrender," it said simply. "We cannot fight as we are meant to fight. We cannot join as we are meant to join. We are lost." The battle ceased as suddenly as it had begun. The dark ships of the Void Collective powered down their weapons, and for the first time in centuries, there was silence in the galaxy. Hours later, Daniel stood in the Council chamber aboard the Victory, watching as representatives from Earth, the Council, and now the former Void Collective signed the peace treaty. "Your people have changed everything," Councillor Zerine told him. "Not just by helping us win the war, but by showing us a new way to think about consciousness itself." The treaty wasn't just about peace. It included provisions for helping the former collective members adapt to individual existence, with both humans and Council species offering aid and support. William's shield generators would be modified to protect key systems, ensuring the collective could never reform. But more importantly, research would continue into understanding consciousness itself, with humans, Council species, and former collective members all contributing their unique perspectives. "It's strange," Amy said, standing beside Daniel as they watched the ceremonies. "We came into space thinking we were behind everyone else, that we were primitive compared to the other species. But it turned out that what made us different was exactly what made us strong." Daniel smiled. That's humanity for you. We've never been good at doing things the normal way. The Council officially recognized Earth as a major power in galactic affairs that day. But more than that, they recognized that diversity, in thought, in approach, in consciousness itself, was not a weakness but a strength. As the Victory began its journey back to Earth, Daniel looked out at the stars. The galaxy was at peace for the first time in centuries, and humanity had played a crucial role in making it happen, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through being exactly what they were. A species that had evolved in isolation, developed their own unique way of thinking, and proved that sometimes the best solution is the one nobody else would think of. The war beyond mind was over, and a new chapter in galactic history was beginning. One where humans, council species, and even former members of the Void Collective would work together to explore the true nature of consciousness and connection. As Earth came into view, its blue sphere growing larger in the Victory's view screen, Daniel thought about how far they had come. From a single distress call near Proxima Centauri to changing the fate of the galaxy itself. The future was bright with possibility, and humanity was ready to help shape it.